Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal attorney, who has been revealing much of what is now known about these dealings as a result of the emails and other material on a laptop left by Hunter Biden at a Maryland computer repair shop. Rudy, you just heard Tony Bobulinski.
Yep.
Those are startling comments. Your reaction?
Not to me. That's everything I know from the hard drive. Everything that Mr. Bobulinski said, and more, a lot more, is borne out by the text messages, hard drives, documents left behind. This is extraordinary. He didn't point out who the Chinese partners were, by the way. The Chinese partners were three members, high-level members of the Chinese Communist Party. Xi Jinping, who was not only a high-level member of the Chinese Communist Party, but a Chinese intelligence operative who recruited people and put together companies like this in order to create compromising situations for him. This operation from the Chinese side was to envelop the Bidens in a compromising situation so that the Chinese could own him should he become president. That was the objective of Xi Jinping. He carried it out with a gentleman named Stanley Ho, who was the American representative, and another gentleman named Quanwan Dun, all three high-level members of the Communist Party, two of them intelligence operatives, one a spy. So those are the people that the Biden family were in business with. Three high-level Chinese communists. Why would someone who wants to be president of the United States go into business with Chinese communists? And why would he lie for 7 years about the fact that he didn't know about his son's foreign business? I'm going to tell you why. Because he's been taking bribes from his son and from his brother for 30 years. And the press covers it up. And I've only been saying this for the last 2 years. So everything Mr. Bobulinski said is not only not a surprise to me, it's only one of about 8 other transactions just like that, and some of it involving more money. This was a $10 million a year deal. They have much bigger deals than that. This family is thoroughly corrupt. It also has other problems that are quite serious. And the major reason for it is...
What are those problems?
This family has been corrupted by... this family's been corrupted by none other than Joe Biden. A decent man doesn't take his son, who's a drug addict, as a young man, and put him in this kind of world. A decent man keeps him out of this kind of world. Joe had plenty of bums in Washington who could have been his bagmen. He didn't have to ruin his son, did he? This is not a good man. He's going to pretend to be a good man, but a...
You've put that in I think, the proper, I think you've put that in the proper relationship. So many of the left-wing media who are denying this story, refusing to report it, are talking about, and appropriately, the drug problems of Hunter Biden. But they're referring to Hunter Biden as using his father. In point of fact, as you've suggested, it was Joe Biden using a son who was deeply in trouble, as whatever his mental and emotional health, with addiction. This is an ugly, ugly story. And uglier still is the way in which this country's institutions that we depend upon as American citizens for a government that is both transparent and responsive. We've had this laptop, apparently, Rudy, has been in the possession of the FBI for almost a year, and nothing has been done.
Yeah, and you know,
the descriptions of what it contains that you've told us is amazing.
I went through it with my former police commissioner, Bernie Kerik, and I came out with 6 crimes in 3 days. And then I came across startling information and pictures that can only be described as endangering the safety of underage girls. And I immediately called the Delaware State Police. And I traveled to Delaware, and I handed it to them. And I said, what are you going to do about it? You know what they did about it? They shot it up to the AG of Delaware, who's a let me say it nicely, a political associate of Biden, and she punted it back to the FBI, who hasn't done anything in a year. Now, I'm going to tell you, Yesterday, the FBI finally opened an investigation. I got their investigation opened. That's ridiculous. Any trained half-wit agent looking at this would immediately go protect those children. Immediately. It's outrageous what they did. And immediately would have figured out that this is a high-level bribery case, and everything that Joe Biden has said is a big lie. There's a lot more to it than Mr. Bobulinski. But Mr. Bobulinski has told the entire truth, and wait until you see the emails and the texts that back him up. And then wait and see how this family conducts itself. Joe Biden did as bad a job taking care of the kids in the family as he did his son. He didn't do anything about it. His son reported to him almost desperately. His son reported to him almost desperately, I pose a very big danger to the kids. A psychiatrist reported the same thing to Joe Biden. I have it right here.
Rudy.
And Joe Biden, for 2 years, covered it up because of his greed for public office. That's
well, the cover-ups go on, as you well know.
Man.
And the people that that laptop is apparently now in the possession of the FBI have been part of the, Rudy, they've been a part of the cover-up in nearly every aspect of the past 4 years as the deep state and the radical Dems have tried to unseat a president. And before that, they tried to block, as you well know, his candidacy. This is an outrage. Let me ask you this, because I'm very concerned about this, and I know everyone listening is. You turned over a laptop to the Delaware State Police, and did you keep copies of everything that was on that? I would assume so, but I had to ask.
Every
Rudy
single
Giuliani,
thing. And if they don't do something about it for those kids, I'm going to have their badges. I don't take that lightly.
I don't think any of us should take any part of this lightly. What you have revealed shows a man who is, with all this evidence, I can't imagine how anyone would consider him fit for the highest office in the land. Rudy Giuliani, who has done much to make sure that the public in this country knows what's going on.